Hello and welcome to another video. And I wanted to make this video because I think between Friday's news, or I should say Thursday's news, which I already made a video about, we already talked about ad nauseum on the most recent episode, podcast 572, which just went live a little bit ago. But something else came out today that honestly is pissed off longtime Xbox fans and consumers of the brand, and I think this is kind of the final nail in the coffin of Xbox as we know it. I mean, it's something that has been foreseen for a while. Like, we knew this was going to happen. We knew this day was going to come, but that day is today, and it has happened. I want to talk about it a little bit more at length now, kind of combine these two things, and maybe get more of a sense of, like, what is Microsoft doing right now? And that is, of course, if you haven't seen it, I'll pull up the article here, and here we go. So this is from IGN.com. The day has come where Gears of War is coming to PlayStation 5. We knew this was going to happen for a while. It's been known that Microsoft has basically shifted to being a third-party publisher that happens to have a system that you can play their games. They maybe would want you to play there, but they don't really care anymore. And so here we go. It is called Gears of War Reloaded. It is just the first game, and it is a remaster of the 2015 remaster of the game. So now it's going to sport 4K resolution, 60 frames in campaign, 120 frames in multiplayer, HDR, Dolby Atmos if you have it, variable refresh rate if you have it, 4K assets and remastered textures, enhanced post-processing visual effects, improved shadows, reflections, super resolution with improved anti-aliasing, that'll be for PC, and 0 loading screens during the campaign. For those that are in the Xbox ecosystem that might own a digital copy of Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which was the remaster of it back in 2015, you will get this as a free upgrade, which at least they're doing that. But yeah, that gets us to the main crux of this video, which is we knew the day was coming, but the day is here where I think Xbox officially is dead as a brand. And, you know, I have to bring up, we got a recent email on the podcast. It basically pointing out that, well, we as a collective group are very critical of the three different platforms, be it Nintendo, be it Sony, be it Microsoft. Lately, we've been especially critical of Microsoft, and I think it's valid. You know, these are all fundamentally huge changes that go against the grain. They go against the norm. If you're a long-time person that's been in the Xbox ecosystem like myself, it is a very weird time to be an Xbox fan. And it's weird because you see one side of it where people are praising this and going like, yeah, it's a good thing, everybody gets to play everything everywhere. And there's another side of it where fans are just pissed off because it's like, well, you know, basically they've taken the last bit of identity that Xbox has and they're throwing it out piecemeal to other platforms. And I get both sides of it. Where do I come down on all this? I think I've said before, and I've said many times on the channel, like this year especially, I have played less and less on my Xbox than I think ever. So, at least since the 360. I've really been just playing games on PlayStation, playing games on PC, and I have played, like this year I played a little bit of Bully, just to go back to it. And there have been some other things I've spent a little bit of time with in the Xbox ecosystem, but pretty much after getting a PS5 Pro, I have focused all my attention on playing games there because, you know, essentially that you would think would be the best place to play games right now, which again, I've said many times. And when I probably hit 6 months with that console, I will make a video about my experience with it. But I've said it before on the podcast. I've said it before on the channel. I'll say it again right now. I cannot recommend anyone go out and buy a PS5 Pro. It's not worth the price. The only reason I would tell you to go buy it right now is because If you really want one, if you think maybe that's going to be the best way to play Death Stranding 2 or GTA 6, then yeah, you should probably go out and buy one right now before the prices get hiked there, because they will. But I think the thing that really kicked this off was last week, we had this whole ordeal where it's like, hey, we're raising the prices on everything. It doesn't matter. We're not going to say it's the tariffs, but let's be realistic. It is because of the tariffs. Microsoft does a lot of exporting from China. And so what is it? The tariffs, like 145%? It's hard to keep track of because, of course, it changes like every fucking day. But I think it's like 145%. So, yeah, the consumer's going to eat that cost. And so they've kind of gone out and gotten ahead of it and just raised prices across the board. I said before, like when I put that video out last week, like consoles are $100 more than they were. There's never been a price drop this generation. And now we have a price increase on a system that is 5 years old. It is utterly fucking ridiculous. Most recent podcast episode, I think Dan put it perfectly. It's almost like Microsoft is doing all this to purposefully fail so they don't have to make a new console and they can just exit the console market and just become a publisher. And I've said before, and I'll say that again, if Microsoft does that, it is bad for all consumers because there is no competition. Nintendo won't be seen as competition, and they can do whatever the fuck they want when they're the only box that's going under people's TVs. And mark my words, Sony will raise prices. They have raised prices in most other territories. They haven't done it here in the States, but I know it's coming. They might be waiting until closer to the fall. I don't know, but it will happen. There's no way they're just going to sit on it and be like, well, we'll eat the cost, but Microsoft isn't, because between these two companies, no offense, Microsoft has a lot more money that they could easily eat the cost of the tariffs over Sony. The only profitable division in Sony is PlayStation, whereas Microsoft is obviously uber profitable with Windows and everything else. So there's no reason, man. But it gets into this sticky situation where you have to ask yourself, what's the point? What's the point of owning an Xbox in 2025, right? I'm a person who owns two. I got one behind me here in this office. I've got my main one out in the living room of my house. I own two Series X systems, and other than maybe the selection of first-party games, I'd say it's probably the best Xbox console that they've ever made. But it's crazy to me that it really feels like they've just given up on it in a weird way. Like they haven't, because they have Game Pass, but at the same time, it's just like, if you're going to put all your games everywhere, what's the point of owning an Xbox when you can just play it on the competitor's box, who also has exclusive games that you can't get on your box? So again, you have to ask the question, what's the point of Xbox in 2025? What's the point of owning one? I'm coming up on finally my Game Pass subscription will be out in the middle of October this year, because the last time I re-upped it, I did one of those ridiculous, like, buy a bunch of gold cards, convert them, and I got 3 years out of that. That was back in 2022. So it's been 3 years, and I'm finally coming up to that being a point where I have to think about it. And I'll say, like, typically when it gets to that point, there's no thought to it. I'm just like, all right, I'll figure it out, re-up it, move on. This is the first time I've seriously sat here and gone, what am I re-upping Game Pass for? Like, what's the value for me? If I'm playing all of these games on a PlayStation or my PC, why do I need to have Game Pass Ultimate? And I'll be honest, like, realistically, I will probably just re-up it for this generation. Because there are, like, heavy hitters. Like, if I didn't want to buy a copy of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, I could have totally played that game on Game Pass. In just, a little under a week, I'm going to be playing Doom The Dark Ages on PC. I could totally play it on my Xbox, but I would like to play that game on PC. There are other Game Pass games that are coming out. Plus, we don't know what Microsoft's fall landscape is going to be like. We have zero idea until their show next month. And I think that's another interesting point to bring up is, what is their showcase going to be like this year? Do they just show trailers that have PlayStation logos at their own showcase? I don't see why not. Like, they basically, again, are a third-party publisher that now happens to have their own ecosystem and box, but they don't care where you play their games. And they're also the number 1 publisher on PSN. Look, right now, the top 3 games last month were Forza, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remake, and what the fuck is the third one? There's one other game that maybe Age of Empires. There was a third game. It was a recent Microsoft release, but all 3 of these were the top 3 games. It's just like, you know, another controversial opinion we've had on the podcast. Dan, co-host of Podcast 572, he said it best, and I give him full credit for this, and I 100% agree. The console wars are over, and Microsoft won. Why did they win? And I know that's a controversial opinion to see, because you look at it and go, no, they didn't win. It's like, no, they did. They're making money hand over fist by just putting this shit everywhere. Even for the minority that you're going to see on Reddit or Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, that are going to tell you like, well, I'm not going to play Xbox anymore. I don't care about their games going to PlayStation. I'm going to boycott them, whatever. That is a minority of people. Your average video gamer out there is going to load up the PSN and go, oh shit, I can play Gears of War on my PlayStation? Fuck yeah, I'm going to do that. And they're going to buy that and download it. Oh, I can play Forza on my PlayStation 5? Abso-fucking-lutely. And they're going to download it. It's a wild time. It's crazy to me where we are at, but this is truly the day that Xbox, as you know it, as I know it, is officially dead. I always knew that this was going to come. I didn't know if it was going to be Gears first or Halo, but I mean, that's all that's left, right? Forza has hit PlayStation 5 already. Gears is going to hit in August, and I bet you before the end of the year, you're going to see Halo. I still really want it to be just the Master Chief Collection, but I see the value from Microsoft's point of view of just piecemealing these games out, because let's be fair, people will buy it. It is important to note that Gears Reloaded here is only $40. And you better believe there'll be a lot of PlayStation fans that, you know, maybe haven't had an Xbox for a generation or two because everybody had a 360. Remembering Gears of War and go, yeah, I'll pay $40 to play that game again. It's a pretty fucking cool game, especially since it has the multiplayer component. So it just proves the point, though, that it is so weird that these games are on PlayStation, and it really is a sign of the times that the Xbox, as you know it, as I know it, as everybody knows it, is dead, and it's not coming back. Do I think, and I've been asked this question as well, is like, do I think that they're not going to have another Xbox? No. I think they're too far into the hole that they will release whatever their next console is. They got this handheld they keep talking about. I think that will come out as well. But I will tell you right now, in a world where a Switch 2 is $450 to $500, depending on what version or bundle you purchase, the Xbox handheld has to be under $500 to even make a dent, for people to even give a fuck. Because if it is not, and it's a $600 portable, like gaming PC, kind of like a Steam Deck or something like that, I just don't see the value. And I don't see at this time people jumping on a portable Xbox when the brand is already dying. You know, it just doesn't make sense. But I could be totally wrong. Maybe that thing comes out and it takes off and it saves the hardware side of Xbox, but I don't see it. I think people are going to stick with Switch 2 and their handheld, like Steam Deck or, you know, ROG Ally or whatever, what have you. But I have seen a lot of that. Is that handheld this fall? Who's to say? Who's to say? So, but Microsoft, as you know it, Xbox, as you know it, as a brand, it's over. Today was the final day. It's dead. You now can still play games on the Xbox. You have Game Pass, whatever. You got your backlog. That's cool. They're still going to continue to make release games on that platform. But we all know that the minute they tore down the walled garden and just said, fuck it, it's all coming over, you knew it was never going to be the same again. So I'd like to know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this? I mean, this is a huge deal. This would be like if Mario was going to PlayStation, or remember when Sonic showed up on a Nintendo platform? That was fucking crazy at the time. This is the same thing. You're seeing Marcus Phoenix on a PlayStation console in 2025. That's fucking wild. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this? Are you done with Microsoft? Are you giving up on them? Have you given up this generation? You know, I wouldn't blame you. I also own a PS5 Pro and a PS5, and I'll say, like, even in my office, like, I still spend more time on that regular PS5 than I do on the Xbox Series X at this time. So let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.